Today I'm going to talk about one verse, Ezekiel 7:27, which is the final verse in our reading from Ezekiel. Ezekiel is describing a day of wrath and a day of judgment, a kind of doomsday. I'm going to show you what I do when a particular verse catches my attention. Those of you who have been with me in previous semesters are familiar with this, but some of you are new, and even those of you who aren't new, a refresher wouldn't hurt. I go to Biblehub, Biblehub.com. So if you type in your browser Ezekiel 7:27 Biblehub, this comes up. Over here on the left, you see all kinds of different translations of that one particular verse. But notice how things are a little different. New International Translation, I will deal with them according to their conduct, says the Lord. And yet you come down to the English Standard Version, according to their way, I will do to them. King James Bible, I will do unto them after their way. What's going on here? Well, if you scroll down, you can see the original Hebrew and a word-for-word translation, so you can look it up. According to their conduct, I will judge them. Well, according to their conduct is an English phrase that translates the Hebrew word medarkam. And it means, or it comes from a Hebrew word that means a road, a course of life, a mode of action. You can click through, which I'm not going to do, and you can see Strong's. Well, in fact, I'll do it for you just to show that there's a couple of ways to do it. Here you come to Strong's concordance of the uses of this word throughout the Bible. It's used quite a bit in the Bible. If you click up here, you get a more thorough explanation of what this word means. It can mean actions, acts, conduct, course. It can mean direction, distance. It can mean highway. It can mean journey, line, manner, mission, path. So you see, you get a sense here of the various shades of meaning of this word, so that you could translate it by their course of conduct, I will judge them. By their way, I will judge them. But it should remind you of something. The other thing you can do here on Biblehub is you can see cross references. It should remind you of this cross reference. In fact, we're going to read this here before much longer, for this is in the Sermon on the Mount. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. Measure for measure. In other words, there is not something arbitrary about God's judgment, but even more surprising, there is something that we establish for our doom, for our judgment on doomsday. Somehow, our own way, course, line of action, our own mode of life establishes how we will be judged. Now, there is a gloss on this that you can find as well, so that if you scroll down, you come to the pulpit commentary. You can see many different commentaries if you click here. The one that interests me the most, and that I think will describe this the best, is down here under Gill's exposition of the entire Bible. Let me get rid of this stupid pop-up. I will do unto them after their way, or for their way, because of their evil ways and works. And according to their deserts will I judge them, what they deserve. Take vengeance on them, as the Targum, or in their judgments I will judge them. The same measure they have meted out to others shall be measured to them. But that's not the only one I saw. Here we go. This one makes it even clearer. The Jameson Fawcett Brown Bible Commentary. I will judge them after their way, because of their wicked ways. Their deserts, literally judgments. That is, what just judgment awards to them, used to imply the exact correspondence of God's judgment with the judicial penalties they had incurred. In other words, they oppressed the poor and deprived them of liberty. Therefore, they shall be oppressed and lose their own liberty. You, people of God, have oppressed the poor and deprived them of liberty. Therefore, you shall be oppressed, and you shall lose your liberty. By your own judgments and way of life, you shall be judged. What goes around comes around. You get what you give. It's a kind of karma. We're not judged merely by an arbitrary standard that's floating out there in space. We make our own destiny, in a sense. Of course, this doesn't happen to everybody at all times, but it happens on the day of wrath. It happens on doomsday, on the day of judgment, which is what Ezekiel's describing in this kind of vision he gets from God. By the measure ye meet, ye will be measured. If you're generous, God will be generous to you. If you're hateful, God will impose a kind of hateful judgment upon you. You get what you give. The love you take is equal to the love you make. In other words, we produce our own reward. Now, of course, you can't take that too far and do a whole Joel Osteen, if we're loyal to God, he will bless us with a 2-car garage and a house in the suburbs. It doesn't quite work like that, because we know we're always going to be persecuted if we attempt to follow God. But what it does mean is somehow our predisposition, the way we follow, is the way that leads to our final destination. And Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the true way to follow. If you follow over your life a way where you oppress others and rob others and care only for your own selfish needs, that's what you will encounter at the end of your life and at the end of time, when we are all judged with this ultimate finality. Think about that. It's hard to describe, but think about that. Think about how we end up making our own final destination in a way, because we choose the way that leads there and the mode of life and the course by which God judges us. Anyway, all of that can be found if you're looking at one particular verse on Biblehub. Biblehub's not very good at looking at a whole section of the Bible. You can do it, but it's really good. If you're curious about a particular verse, you can dive very deep, especially those commentaries. Those are all Protestant commentaries, but they're quite rich, and the Protestants have a very deep tradition of studying the Bible. You can, of course, do this with Catholic commentaries as well, but you don't get that on Biblehub. You do get some Catholic translations on Biblehub, the Douay-Rheims and so forth. So keep that in mind, but it's a really deep dive if you want to go that deep.